Hey guys, so I am here today with my golden vanities, and today we are doing face products. And just so you know, this is actually the first video I'm filming with my new camera, so bear with me. I'm not sure on lighting and stuff, and I'm working with natural lighting, so we gotta kind of go because it's going away soon. So yeah, I have a few face products to share with you, not too many, so hopefully this won't be too terribly long. And yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and jump in with my favorite face products for 2014. As far as foundation, I had a standout that won by a landslide. Like, this is 100% my favorite foundation. This is the Neutrogena Skin Clearing Oil-Free Makeup. Mine is in the shade Buff, and it is fantastic. I have not really heard anything about this here on YouTube, and for me, it's by far my favorite foundation probably ever trying. It works so well on my skin, which honestly I wouldn't have expected because it has some salicylic acid in it. So I think of it, I would have thought it would be drying, but somehow it's not. I mean, of course, foundation is very personal, but for me, it sits so beautifully on my skin, stays in place all day. It looks good in photos and in person. Like, it looks very blurred in both, so it makes your skin look perfected even if it's not. I don't usually wear concealer with this, and yeah, it's just so easy to apply, so beautiful, and I love it so much. It is kind of expensive for the drugstore. It does run about $15, which I don't like that, but otherwise I absolutely love this. I don't think I've talked about it much because of course I haven't been on here in a while, and this was something I discovered in like July, so I have talked about it a little but not a ton. I love this, highly recommend it. I could go on and on, already have, so let's move on. My honorable mention for foundation, also a really good foundation that I found at the drugstore this year, is the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous Fresh Complexion Foundation. Mine is in 115 Buff Beige. I always go for something with the name Buff in it. For some reason it seems to work, and yeah, I love this. It also sits pretty beautifully on the skin. This one doesn't give as much coverage. I find it's quite a natural finish. Like, it doesn't cover everything, which I kind of like for daytime. So this is more my daytime, like if I don't care if my skin looks perfect, I just want a little evening out. I like this a lot. It's a pretty light coverage, as I said. It's a little drier looking than that one, but not too bad. And if I use just a little and buff it in, it kind of gives me a tinted moisturizer effect as far as coverage. So really nice. Also, this one is quite cheap at the drugstore. I believe I got it for like under $10. So as opposed to the Neutrogena one, this is a nice option. And both of these are SPF free, which I always go for in a foundation because I generally like my foundations to be able to work for flash photography and nighttime wear. So that's why I do that. But obviously, if you're somebody who's going to wear it daytime, you might want some SPF. Moving on to concealer, I was kind of going back and forth because I did try quite a few concealers this year, and I wasn't like, I guess I didn't prefer too many over the others, but I think my overall winner would be the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. This one's in Sand, which is a little dark for me right now, but I used it more in the summer. The great thing about this concealer, it is nice and affordable at the drugstore again, and it can work for under eyes and blemishes, which is why I think it wins, because my other favorites are more just for under eyes, but I like something that I can kind of use for both, because I don't go super light under my eyes, so generally I can use it for both if I just buff it out nicely. But yeah, this is really nice. If you could only have one concealer, I think this would be a good one to go to because it gives a pretty decent coverage. My other favorite one is this one that I don't have right now. I was going to try to grab my empty one out of an empties bag and show it to you, but I forgot. I'll put a picture. It's the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I usually get the one in light versus the brightener, which I think is a little too pink for me, but I really love that one. It's my favorite under eye concealer for daytime wear because I do find it has some treatment in it, so it's really nice and comfortable on. It seems to help the under eye circles over time, and it's just a really good one. So it's that little rollerball one. I'm sure you've heard of it. Really good stuff. Now, another concealer that I've been using that's more coverage for under the eyes is the Revlon Age Defying Targeted Dark Spot Concealer Treatment. It doesn't have the color on it, but it's also a rollerball, but it's a squeezy tube, so it's kind of cool. And I've actually really been loving this. I'm wearing this today. It's not, I don't prefer it to the Maybelline one, but it's another good one from the drugstore, so that's why it's an honorable mention. Because will I repurchase? I'm still not sure, but I do like it. It's very full coverage, so you have to use just a little bit and really buff it out. So yeah, this is probably the most full coverage concealer I've found at the drugstore. Moving on to powder. I didn't find a pressed powder this year that overly impressed me. I've tried a few that were just kind of as well as I was trying to finish old pressed powders. So my only favorite powder to mention is a loose powder. It's the Almay Nearly Naked Loose Powder. I have it in light and also light medium for summer. And I just love this. I don't think they make this anymore, but they do have one called Smart Complexion, which I imagine would be the same. I haven't tried it. But yeah, this is just so good. Loose powder just, I find, looks a little more natural and fresh on the skin than the pressed powders do, at least on my skin. And this is always a good one. I hadn't used it in a while, and because I was thinking about favorites, I remembered it and started using it again, and I love it. I'm wearing it today. It just looks nice on the skin. I really do love a loose powder. It's a little messy, so for travel, not so good, but for my everyday purposes, works quite nicely. A bronzer that I love, and actually a couple of my next favorites are Essence. This is the brand that's probably won for me this year. I've just loved it. This is the Essence Sun Club bronzer, and I've tried both the one for blondes, which I have here, and the one for brunettes. I was using the one for brunettes, and it was funny because I first tried it about a year ago and it worked for me, and then for some reason this year it just seemed too dark, so I went and got the one for blondes, and I love this one a little bit more because the color just seems to work a little better for me. But they're both very similar and very natural looking. They buff out really easily, they never look harsh, and I think these are really underrated. They're completely matte and they just work so well. I haven't tried another bronzer since I got these just because I love them that much. So yes, a really big, nice bronzer for about $2 to $5. I don't know the exact price. From Ulta is where you get Essence if you're not familiar. I really recommend the brand as a whole, but especially that bronzer. Now blushes, my favorites, again, go out to Essence. These are a brand of blushes that I tried. They have, I think, like 4 or 5 shades total. I have 3 of them. These are the Silky Touch blushes. The one I really love is the one I'm wearing today in Autumn Peach. It's a slightly shimmery peach color. But I also have it here in Lights of Cherry, a bright reddish pink, and Sweetheart, a natural peachy pink. And they're really nice. They're quite pigmented and again blend out really nicely, really affordable again, and they all look really glowy on the skin. Like, this is the only one with shimmer that I've noticed, but they all kind of give a subtle glow to the cheeks, which is really pretty. And yeah, I think that brand is really nice, and they don't have a huge range of colors, but they have a nice range of like natural colors that I think anyone could wear. An honorable mention goes out to the Balms Frat Boy. Honestly, if I could only have one blush in my collection, it probably would be this one. I didn't try it this year, so I didn't use it as much this year because I was trying other things, but it's just something that if I don't know what to wear on my cheeks, I usually go for this because it just looks nice on my skin tone. I think it would look nice on most skin tones with most looks. It's a good go-to, and these blushes are really pigmented and last a long time, so can't go wrong with Frat Boy, so I had to give it a little shout out. Generally, I am not a highlight person, but in the last 2 months, I tried one that I really adore. Again, from the drugstore. Everything here is, I generally do like the drugstore, especially for face products. So this is the Hard Candy Baked Blush in Honeymoon. It's so beautiful. I know everyone talks about their baked bronzer in Tiki, and I was gonna get that, and then this was a little cheaper, and I was intrigued by the idea of using like a peachy color. And it's so nice. I mean, you can't really tell them that there, but on the cheeks, you blend it out. It doesn't look too peachy. It just looks really natural, because I find a peach tone for my skin anyway looks more natural than a white one. And this one also has some purple in it, which is a brightening color. So it really does give the most beautiful and fairly natural glow on the cheeks. The combination of this with the Autumn Peach blush is stunning. I'm wearing it today. I wear it all the time. I just love the way those two peachy shimmery colors combine together to give such a fresh look to the skin. So yeah, if you are in the market for a new highlighter and maybe those whitish goldish highlighters are not always the best on you, I would really recommend going to like Walmart is where you can get Hard Candy and trying this one out. It's really nice and I'm obsessed. The last thing I wanted to talk about is what I use for contour. I do love a cream contour, but for the daytime that doesn't really work as well for me. I find it a little bit harsher. So what I love is actually an eyeshadow. It's Max Wedge. I used to use this occasionally, and now I basically use it every day. I just love a little bit of a contour happening. So I use this eyeshadow with a little duo fiber brush for a nice soft buffed out contour, and it's perfection. Speaking of brushes, I am not talking about any brushes in my Golden Vanities this year, just because I figured that was something that would warrant its own video about brushes. So if you want to see that, let me know below and I will definitely get on that. But yes, that is my favorites for face. If you want to see my lip favorites, those will be coming up in 2 days, so stay tuned. If you want to see the Golden Vanities Part 2, check back in on the 29th. Until then, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.